Your Comedy Minute. Hey, I'm Scotty T. I have a comedy legend with me. Linda Marcus Smith is with me. Linda, it's an honor to have you here.
Oh, it's an honor to be here with you, you legend, you.
Oh no, no, I don't rank up. I have so much stuff written down about you, Linda. Let's start though. You live in Las Vegas, is that right?
I do. I live amongst a lot of sin.
Do you contribute to that sin, Linda?
Once in a while.
Once in a while, a smidgen. Uh, were you born and raised in Las Vegas?
Nope. I come from Oregon.
Oregon. Do you mind telling me how you ended up? Well, were there other stops, or was it Oregon to Vegas, or were there other stops?
So many stops in my life,
Oh,
but with
really?
comedy, I came here on a visit for Stephen Pearl's birthday. He's the legend. He traveled with Kinnison and Robin Williams.
Okay.
And I came for his birthday, and there was so many heterosexual men in comedy my age, and I'm like, what am I doing in Portland? So I packed up my stuff and came here.
Came to Vegas, and you started doing comedy then?
No, I started 10 years ago.
You just started doing comedy 10 years ago.
I started comedy 10 years ago, not just 10 long years ago.
I apologize. I apologize. It seems like longer.
I know. 10 years I'll never get back.
No, I know. And you know what? I'm almost 5, coming up on 5, and you're right. I a lot of this, a lot of ups and downs.
Absolutely. But we
Well,
love it. We're hooked.
yeah, no, I mean, I'll tell you what, I'll say this. I just want to make people laugh.
Yes,
That's
that's the
all.
thing.
That's all. At this point in my life, if I made somebody laugh today, then that's good, you know? That's good
Yes.
enough for
And
me.
the more upset I am about life, the more people I have to make laugh in a day.
Yeah. And you mentioned Robin Williams. One of the things I've always held on to, Robin Williams used to say, laughter is the enema of the soul.
Wow.
And that, you know, and for me, it's like cleansing. I can be in a really bad mood. I had one of these this morning that went terrible. Matter of fact, we never even got off on the, and it just, but yet I can laugh about it. Afterwards. I laughed about it. At the time I was upset, but it's like, laughter is so important.
Absolutely.
Because I got a lot of stuff and I don't want to get bounced around too much.
Okay.
10 years ago, when you started doing comedy, was there a catalyst was it just that you went to Vegas and there were all those men there your age that you're,
No, my trip to Vegas was 4 years ago.
okay.
10 years ago, my daughter, my only child, and I had to separate. And I figured it might be the last day I ever see her, and I didn't want to live. And I thought, I need to find something bigger.
You're right. And that's what started you in comedy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And thank God, because you have brought joy to a lot of people. And we'll move on because there's so much to cover. You're on YouTube. You have 594 subscribers, 1,490 videos, 82,789 views. And the thing is one of your taglines, which I think is up now, 1,122 interviews you've done. But I think it's up because if you have 1,490 videos, you have a lot more than 1,122 interviews.
Well, a lot of it's my own comedy, and then I did 51 military shows on Zoom.
Oh, okay. Well, on your interviews, I'll mention a few, and you recently, and again, Linda, I'll put all your links to your YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, TikTok, even TikTok. Okay. I'll put all those links on here. But on Facebook, you had posted a picture of Sinbad. That was one of your, one of the people that you interviewed.
Absolutely.
And
You know,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I had talked with him on MySpace. Back in the day, celebrities used to talk to us nobodies because they were hungry for attention and followers.
Okay.
And so I talked to him and David Brenner and Kelsey Grammer and a whole
Wow.
bunch of people. And then I went back, circled back when I was doing my podcast, and I said, "Hey, do you remember me?" And he said, "Yeah." And he promised me 2 minutes. And so I got him on there. I told him a joke, and he stayed 41 minutes and 54 seconds.
Wow. Tommy Chong from Cheech and Chong. I saw he was on
5 times.
5 times. Wow. Who are some of the other ones? Do you want to mention some of the other your favorites? Go ahead.
The late great Bobby Rydell, because
Rydell.
Bobby Rydell started comedy with Red Skelton.
I remember Red Skelton.
Yeah. And I got to do Rich Voss. I got to do Wendy Liebman, Kathy Ladman, Richard Pryor's daughter.
You know, Kathy Ladman, not to interrupt, but Kathy Ladman and I chatted on back when it was on called Twitter. And Kathy gave me some advice.
What'd she say?
Told me to stay true to what I want to do.
Very nice.
Don't succumb to the pressure of other people because they don't like what I'm doing.
Absolutely.
Stay true to yourself. I'm sorry, keep going. Kathy Ladman just jumped out because Kathy and I actually chatted.
Yeah, she gave me 5 minutes, and Wendy Liebman gave me 15.
Okay.
When my favorite interview, of course, was Sinbad, because that happened the day after the George Floyd killing.
Wow.
And he didn't want to do it. He was too depressed. So we talked about racism in America.
Yeah. Yeah.
My favorite interview. But the times I've spent with Tommy Chong, he blows my mind. He's so smart.
Yeah. You know, I'm just finding this out, Linda, because I had no idea that because you do all kinds of comedians and stuff. And I started your Comedy Minute 4.5 years ago. And I just started doing these Zooms back, I want to say 6 months or so ago. And it's something I always wanted to do, one-on-one with another comedian. And, you know, like I said, the irony of you and I meeting and then seeing all that you've done, it's like, my gosh, I wish I would have started this a while back, because I think people like it. I think they like the interaction of comedians and talking about, but like you said, it can switch, like with Sinbad, where you're talking about racial stuff. I find sometimes I try and shift it back because I'm like, this is supposed to be a comedy show, and there's no comedy.
Yeah. Like today, I'm a military veteran.
Right.
And
thank you for your service.
Thank you for saying that. So I saw on NBC that a military veteran found an old World War II letter, and he found out who the family was, and he drove hundreds of miles and returned the letter. So I'm having him on the show today at 3:00.
Wow.
Because I want the people to know that sometimes veterans are out there doing great things. They're not just going postal and stuff.
Right. Well, Linda, I'll tell you what, that's something that, I do want to talk about, because you do put out some content. You know, a lot of these young kids today, they do a TikTok video or something. They think man, you're putting out, I just saw your YouTube shorts. I don't know how many of those you're doing a day, but I used to do shorts every 2 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. When I first got in, YouTube, and I had a couple blow up, and I thought, okay, well, they monetized me. They put me in their shorts program.
Great.
Well, that was not anymore. YouTube has a way of moving the levers around and switching the Wizard of Oz stuff on you.
Totally.
Yeah, totally. That's why I take it all with a grain of salt.
Absolutely. That's all you can do.
I'm thankful these days, because when I first started doing this, I was always worried about the numbers and the views and, audience reach and this and that. And I'm not. I've given up on that.
Yeah, you have to be, like, I think that the secret to surviving this business is to give, not give to get.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm just having people on, and they come on and they tell me their stories when they started doing comedy, their first time on stage, and I just kind of got a formula that I'm going through, and I'm happy with it. It seems to be working, so I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to take a page out of your book and just keep following what you're doing.
Aw, well, it sounds like you got a winning formula.
Well, I don't know about that. I think, and you probably know this. Well, I know you know this a lot better than I do. These Zoom meetings, you got to get the people on. And then when they come on, can they actually hear you? And then does their camera look any good? Or that, in other words, I've done a batch of these. One, I told the kid, he had a laptop, the little thing, and he tried wiping it off. And I said, my God, bud, this is so bad. And he was really funny, but the video quality was so bad, I couldn't even air it.
I know.
Believe it or not, I ended up sending him a camera.
Oh.
So we could do it.
Oh.
But beyond all the interviews and the comedy, let me ask you this: do you have a favorite? Sinbad's your favorite interview. Do you have a favorite comedy show you've done so far?
Comedy show?
Yeah, a lineup of you're like, in other words. Well, and that being said, do you have a least favorite show where it didn't go so good?
My favorite comedy show I just had in New York City at Dangerfields, the new Rodney's.
I met Rodney.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did. Go ahead, though. I don't want to interrupt. Go ahead.
Thank you. Well, the show was fabulous. It was the best set of my life.
Really?
And yeah, the crowd just got me from the minute I went on stage till I was done. And my worst scenario was in Portland, Oregon at an open mic when they chose a host who had really bad autism. And there was two homeless guys outside getting ready to fight. So he banged on the window. He was like, and trying to get them to stop, but they came inside and they were ready to kill us. They brought in broken up beer bottles and were trying to kill us for bothering them.
Oh my God. Linda, that's crazy. Well, as you were saying that, and I apologize, do you want to do a little bit? I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you want to do a little bit of the set from Dangerfields that you thought was fantastic?
I'll do a little bit of it.
Sure. You can do as much as you want. Go ahead.
All righty. All right. Well, you guys have a seat. A little old lady's about ready to entertain you. I know, I get it. I'm Linda Marcus Smith. I'm pushing the envelope with 3 names, whatever. But I go by 3 names, not because I'm a diva. I go by 3 names, Scott, because I'm still mad about John Wilkes Booth. Anybody? I know. Boomers can hold on to grudges. Who'd have thought? Yeah, he makes me so mad. He was in the theater that day when he shot Lincoln because he was an actor. And as an actor, he got famous with 1 headshot. Blows my mind too.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know this is going to shock a lot of you, but I've been aging. I know. Is anybody getting older? Huh? Yeah, we all are. It's so relatable. I just had a birthday. Thank you.
Happy
I know.
birthday.
Insert applause break here. And I had a birthday and I turned 21 again. 21 times 3 plus. None of your business, Scott. None of your business.
I didn't ask. Although I know.
Yeah, I like it when old men crank their heads and turn around and look at me. I'm not a cougar. I like old men. Look at me. Do you know, Scott, it gets harder and harder every year to find an old man that's interested in me. I mean, and I'm not into necrophilia. I'm not gonna do that. Even though, they would be stiff, but nah. I prefer somebody with a stiff upper lip that likes stiff drinks, that's my kind of stiff. But
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I go to Forever 21 and get cute, flirty clothes to trick old men to think I'm young. Yeah, it works. They turn around, look at me. I'm getting a lot of attention ever since I got to Vegas. My career has been taken off because men are looking. I prance up and down the Vegas Strip in a prom gown and hooker heels. And the old men want to stop and pick me up. It's amazing. Amazing. I tell people I'm a streetwalker, but it's with a Fitbit, that time. You have to remember to bring this with you when you get stopped by the police. Just a little life hack. Yeah. During the pandemic, it was really scary street walking because there were no tourists to keep me safe. It was just tweakers out there.
Oh, okay.
So I walked in the middle of the street because there were no cars. And a cop stopped me. He goes, "What the heck are you doing walking in the middle of the street?" And I go, "Are you from Brooklyn or Vegas?" Forget about it. So I said, "There's tweakers to the left of me, tweakers to the right, and I'm stuck in the middle with you. Get out of my way." It's an old song, you guys. You got to get
Steelers
hip.
Wheel. I know the song. Steelers Wheel. Stuck in the middle with you.
Stuck in the middle with you.
Yeah.
But anyway, in closing, my career has been taking off since I got to Vegas.
Wonderful.
At bus stops. There's a little old lady, Scott. She was sad. I'm telling you, I've got the answer, a joke. So I said, blah, blah, punchline. And she said, keep your day job. Uh-oh. I hadn't had one since 1996. My, how time flies when you're having fun. So now I got a day job. Streetwalker. Thanks, you guys. I'm Linda Marcus Smith.
That's excellent. Excellent
you.
stuff. Excellent stuff.
Thank you.
At the John Wilkes Bill, and you'll find this with me, and maybe it happens to you too, that as I hear stuff, a joke goes into my head. Bing, ding, 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 ding. And when you did the John Wilkes Booth joke, there's a joke that says something to the extent they're making a new Abe Lincoln documentary on Netflix. It's going to be shot in front of a live audience. I just love that joke. And that's what went through my mind. But yeah, that's great stuff. You did fantastic.
Thank you.
Well, let me move on because I have at least one other thing I want to talk about because I'm like you. In other words, I do my best on these interviews. Other than me screwing up your name in the beginning, no one will see. No one will see. I was talking about Helene, and it was in my mind. But who wants to be a millionaire?
Yeah.
That's wild. That's wild. My mother loved that show. God rest her soul. And so you were on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. First off, was Regis the host?
No, it was Meredith Vieira.
Okay, all right.
So I had been hit by a drunk driver in 1996, and I couldn't remember how to buckle my shoes or anything. And somebody said, try trivia. Well, I would read the front of a trivia card. By the time I turned it over, I couldn't remember what the question was.
Huh.
So I got mad and I started doing it really fast. And when I went fast, then I started remembering stuff. And I got so good at trivia, I sent in to be on the show and they had me come and I made it past the first, I beat out a rocket scientist. Wow. He didn't make it, but I did. But when it got to the interview, like they ask you, logical things in a logical order. And then I didn't really impress them because my brain hadn't really healed to be badgered for 20
I
minutes.
see.
But but I got that far.
That's wild. That's wild.
Thank,
You've lived an amazing life.
that's so sweet. Thank you.
Well, no, I mean, and I again, pardon me because we've never met, other than chatting on the phone for about 30 seconds one day.
Mhm.
I've never met you, but I mean, from military to stand-up comedy to all these interviews to the content you're doing now, which is just, I'm just so impressed with you, Linda. I'm so impressed with you.
Thank you. That's so sweet.
Well, I'm being sincere. Do you plan on doing comedy now for the rest of your life? Is that what you want to do?
Yeah, every once in a while I get my feelings really hurt, or I have really a lot of PTSD from the military. So sometimes I get triggered and I want to quit comedy,
Yeah.
but I'm never gonna quit. So, you
Okay.
know, sometimes things upset me greatly when you get disrespected.
Well, that's what happened to me this morning. Well, and there was another guy, Mike Parenti, who came on and was very disrespectful. I'll say this, and maybe you'd agree, maybe you won't, but there are comedians out there who feel like they are God's gift to comedy, and they know what comedy is, and they know exactly how you have to do comedy. You have to do open mics. You have to do this. And I think that's a bunch of bull.
Me
Okay.
too.
Because
Me
there are
too.
young comedians, and maybe you've already experienced this. I had a guy named Corey from Connecticut on, young man, and he was as funny got, and he's only been doing it. And I had a young lady, Jessica Phillips, who just started out, but was funny. And, so these guys that tell you got to do 10 years and this and that, I think it's a bunch of bull.
Me too. A lot of times, some of the people that have been doing it 20, 30 years are bitter that they used to be
Yeah.
famous or
Yeah.
they've never been, and they're trying to discourage us, and don't listen to them.
No, I'm not. I mean, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. We talked about Kathy Ladman gave me that advice, and yeah, I do a lot, and I was funny that your stuff was pretty dark. I do a lot of really dark stuff, and I'll be honest, I've lost a lot of friends, family members that think I'm vile. I have a vile tongue, and they don't differentiate between Scotty T, the guy that's on your Comedy Minute, versus their brother Scott or whatever. And it's like you have to, this is an act.
Absolutely.
The minute I shut off the camera, I go back to, hopefully go back to some kind of normalcy.
Absolutely.
So,
So
but
true.
but you said it too. When you're doing comedy, you have a lot of I don't know if you experience this, where you put something together and you think it's really good, and you put it on and it just doesn't do well, and you think to yourself, God, I thought that was gold.
No, I've had that happen where I thought something was so funny. I was telling my Lyft driver last night a joke, and he wasn't really coming along on the ride. And so I said, well, I guess that joke's just for me. you
Go
know.
ahead, go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it. Let me see if I laugh. Go ahead and do it.
Oh, I don't even remember what joke it was. Like I was going through my set,
Okay.
and one of the jokes that usually hits didn't hit.
Yeah. Well, it's
Oh,
subjective too. Like I do a dead baby joke, and there are people that are appalled by me doing. I had a lady at the supermarket. I've told this story a few times. She's been cutting. She's in the deli, and she's been cutting my meat for years. I go to the deli, and I told her jokes. I did that dead baby joke. Now she doesn't talk to me anymore, and
that's
she
terrible.
made it clear that I upset her, so I don't talk to her anymore. But it's subjective, where I have other people that absolutely do. I love the dark jokes you do, Scotty.
Yes, absolutely. I have a baby killer joke that I tell to the military, and they love it.
Go ahead and do it.
you know, people ask me now I got a military audience, right? And I go,
Right.
people ask me all the time, when you were in the military, did you kill anybody? And I'm like, stop asking the military if they were baby killers. You know, I get tired of you asking the military if they were baby killers. Because I was in the military in 73, and it wasn't until 1977 that I had an abortion.
Yeah, there you wrapped up too. Baby killer and abortion.
Yeah. I
You got
still to
two in
this
one
day I can't
shot.
go to
A
Florida.
double bonus from Linda. Yeah, abortion jokes and dead baby jokes, and you know, I do, and I tell you what though, Linda, and I'm curious. You know, I don't want to get too far going here, but do you find, because you are doing Instagram and these different social media things, that I did one the other week where it was my daughter just told me I'm a terrible father. And I don't know why she'd say that. I only met her once. And Linda, I swear to you, I put that joke up on YouTube. And within 5 minutes, there was a comment, a lady telling me what an asshole I was. You know, you're so stupid. I can't believe she wrote a book about what a jerk I was. 5 minutes later, there was another lady getting in her butt telling her that you're wrong. He's just telling the truth. He's just doing, and that's where that subjective, the comedy, you know, to one person, it's appalling. To another person, no, he's just telling, because there are a lot of deadbeat dads.
There are, and you
You
should
know,
bring light, and you need to bring light to it.
I try to bring light to anything that's dark, which a lot of
Absolutely.
people don't realize that.
Yeah, I get it.
No, and I know that because, you know, I think that people like you and I that like that kind of humor and do, you know, John Wilkes Booth jokes, you have to have a certain, be little tweet, little something happened to us over the years.
My parents survived the Holocaust. You want to hear my one Holocaust line?
Oh my God. Go ahead.
You know, I hate to brag, but my parents survived that thing in the 40s over in Germany. Hitler's downsizing program. That's what we can't call it the Holocaust. God forbid, because that, you know, I like messing with people that say the Holocaust did not exist. You know what I tell them, Scott? Oh, not that Holocaust. That one didn't exist, but the one my parents threw, that one existed.
Linda, you are amazing. You are amazing. I would have never thought that from you.
Yeah, it's fun taking the saddest thing in your life and trying to make it relatable and funny.
Yeah. Well, I think I've talked to quite a few comedians like you, and I find that a lot of them, they tell me it stems from a dark place or something dark happened. They got a divorce, they had a breakup, and that's when they said, you know what, I'm going to do comedy. I mean, it seems like I would say more than 75% or more that I talk to, something tragic or something drastic in their life happened that they said, you know what, I want to do comedy. And they never look back.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some people that I know that have quit, you know, the couple that I've done that have quit and, you know, just didn't. I had one girl, believe it or not, on this week, and we're going to wrap it up here quickly, but she is in the military and she loves doing
What?
comedy, but she's afraid if they find out, because she does dark, edgy stuff, and she's now kind of on hiatus because she's afraid if they find out, they'll kick her out and she'll lose her pension. She only has 6 years to go or something.
Was she an officer or enlisted?
Well, she's you know, I guess she's muckety muck. She's up there, so she doesn't want
Have her
to.
get a hold of me. I do a daily workshop for veterans for free.
Well, no, she's fine. She's happy. It's just she can't do comedy because she's afraid that if they find out, they make there may, you know, maybe ramifications for her doing dirty comedy.
She can go by a different name on social media and
Well,
on,
I don't think she wants to risk it.
that's a shame.
Yeah.
So
Well,
much for freedom of speech, right?
yeah. Well, everything these days, you got to be careful what you're saying.
Yeah, they are her employer, so.
Unless you're like me that you just don't, I, I don't care.
We don't care. We're at that.
I'm gonna do what I want to do. I want to do the comedy I want to do and have people on. I always tell people in the very beginning, you can say any effing thing you want to say. It doesn't matter to me.
And the
Because,
more they put, and the more they tighten up, the more you should push.
well, and that's why it's called Your Comedy Minute, because I want it to be about them. I want it to be about Linda. It's not about me. I've done my share. I have 5,000 videos up. I continue to put them up on a daily basis. I like having people on and hearing your story, Well, speaking of which, can you do Your Comedy Minute? Do you have a favorite thing, a favorite story that makes you laugh, and it can be anything, Linda. It doesn't matter. Do you have something?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna go into this. People ask me all the time, you look so sweet and so innocent, how comedy, you're so sweet. Listen, you guys, I might look sweet and innocent, but do you know in 1973, Scott, I was wanted, right? Not by a man. Well, I was I was wanted, and I found out I was wanted at the post office. You're not supposed to find out you're wanted at the post office. There he was. His eyes were following me everywhere in that building. You know that feeling? And he pointed at me and he said he wanted me, Scott. It was a poster of Uncle Sam. I'm a boomer. You think we were taught to say no to a man? Rashad, I couldn't wait to see what this guy wanted me to do and how long could I do it for him and where would he like to tell me to go besides to hell like all the other men in my life. I'm part Jewish. Hold on, that's not the punchline. I'm part Jewish. They sent me to Germany, for God's sake. They checked my record. I don't want to circle that. I'm one woman, Scott. They put me on a post with 2,000 men. Me, one woman, 2,000 men. And I was like, I'm bad at math. It's a good thing I joined for 3 years because I'm bad at math. I was like, every day, how many times a day are they going to keep trying to shove 2,000 into one? That's it.
I knew it was coming. I knew we were coming to 2,000 to 1. How did you make out? Did you get like 1,900 of them? How many did you make out? I'm kidding.
Do you know how many men I had? Me neither. I lost count. But that's why I'm still smiling at 73 trips around.
God bless you. Man, I thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much. You didn't give me the Woody Woodpecker line.
Oh, you wanted Oh, come on now. I thought I did a pretty good intro after I screwed it up once. Oh, you wanted me to say Woody Woodpecker. Yeah. Do you know that line actually came from Minnie Pearl?
Really?
Yeah. Feel like a woodpecker in a lumberyard. There, now you got it. Okay, listen, hang tight for a second. I'm going to stop the recording. Thank you so much for being here. You're a comedy legend in my mind.
Thank you so much.
Hang tight for a second. I'm going to stop the recording.
Okay.
Thank you again.